Though we are talking about Star Wars, we are dealing with the difficult topic of abuse. Please note that I'm not a counselor or a therapist. I just love Star Wars and want to explore it in a different light today. As with anything else on the internet, proceed at your own risk. When I was a child, I used to idolize Anakin and Padme's relationship as the epitome of a healthy romance. Like, he's a badass, she's a badass, and they blatantly confess their love.
I truly, deeply love you.
But in the last few years, as Star Wars has sort of made its comeback, I've noticed something else about their relationship, and it's far from romantic. Welcome to Cunan's Cove, I'm Cunan, and today it's time to answer the question, is Anakin and Padme's relationship abusive? Now the difficulty with this question is the fact that there are three types of relationships. According to the National Domestic Violence Hotline's relationship spectrum, there are healthy, unhealthy, and abusive relationships, and they each have different qualities. So let's first figure out, is their relationship healthy, unhealthy, or abusive? And to do this, the best we can do is go through some of the scenes featuring Anakin and Padme and see what territory their relationship swims in. First off, in Attack of the Clones, though their relationship did form out of lust and lies, Anakin and Padme do seem to be completely honest with each other, a sign of a healthy relationship. Next, in the Clone Wars Season 2, Anakin finds out that Padme previously had a relationship with Senator Rush Clovis. Anakin is sent by the Jedi Council to try and convince Padme to work with him again so she can spy on him for the Jedi Council. When the Jedi talked to her before, she had declined the offer. But when Anakin lets his personal interests get in the way, he instead tries to get reassurance that she won't work with Clovis in a rather controlling manner.
You mean I can't handle the mission?
I'm not gonna let you do it.
You're not going to let me?
And from this, Padme then decides to work with Clovis, as she is intrigued by the political rumors surrounding him, while also exerting her right to make her own decisions. This is a sign of the relationship now being unhealthy, as Anakin attempts to exert his control over Padme, which stems from his not trusting her to work with someone that she used to be close to. Next up, in the Clone Wars, again, this time Season 6, Clovis is back. Padme is assigned by the Chancellor to work closely with Clovis again, to make sure he doesn't have an ulterior motive. This is a very similar situation as before, with Anakin trying to get Padme to not work with Clovis. But last time Anakin tried to control her, he ended up just going with the flow, and by trusting his wife, in the end, things went just fine. But this time, he just can't let Padme and Clovis near each other.
Well, you're just going to have to trust my judgment here.
Like the last time,
The Chancellor has asked me to do this, Anakin.
But I'm asking you to say no. As your husband, I demand that you tell the Chancellor you are stepping down.
To have a healthier relationship, all Anakin needs to do is let go of his inner jealousy and trust his wife's words when she says,
My sole intentions are to defend the Republic.
But instead, he insists on communicating with her in a controlling manner, which is a clear sign of an abusive relationship. And later in this episode, Anakin finds Clovis attempting to kiss Padme. And even though Padme clearly says,
Clovis, no!
With Anakin able to hear her, Anakin still decides to take this opportunity to lash out.
Get away from her!
Both of you, stop this!
You don't have a say in this!
Stop it! Anakin, stop!
Anakin mistreats her and takes control, all while accusing her of cheating, even when it's not true. These are all traits of an abusive relationship. Now to be clear, Clovis isn't in the clear here either. If it weren't for his inability to take no for an answer and keep persisting, even though Padme has shown him clear signs of rejection, we wouldn't be in this mess. But that doesn't make Anakin anything less than the abuser in this situation. Both of these guys are in the wrong. And finally, Revenge of the Sith. Now, Anakin does openly communicate with Padme about his dreams about her dying. This is good, but he isn't fully transparent with her. He confesses his worries to her, but doesn't tell her about his plan to save her until they're both on Mustafar when Anakin is far past the turning point. This has more signs of abusive mistrust and control, not to mention that when he gets frustrated with her, he actually chokes her, the last time he ever sees her. So what's the answer to our question? Is their relationship abusive? Yeah, it is. So this brings us to our next question. What caused their relationship to be abusive? There are two things that really caused their relationships to form in an unhealthy manner. First, the failings of the Jedi Order, and second, Anakin's premonitions. Let's start with that first one, shall we? Now, it's no secret that the Jedi Order doesn't have the most healthy support system. Anakin has always had a female figure to rely on, and in The Phantom Menace, he's pulled away from his mother and told that his feelings of missing her is no, very bad, and those feelings should be avoided. Instead of helping Anakin through the loss, he's told to suppress those emotions and avoid giving those feelings any power. Hell, in Attack of the Clones, Anakin opens up about the dreams he's been having of his mother, but is convinced that he shouldn't be having those dreams.
I don't know why I keep dreaming about her.
The Jedi don't seem to understand that dreams aren't something everyone can control, and it's perfectly normal to miss your mother, especially when you're ripped away from her like Anakin was, and at such a young age. In short, Anakin says, "I miss my mom," and the Jedi respond with, "Oh, no, you shouldn't do that. That whole missing thing, just don't do that," instead of actually being there for him and supporting him. And this is a flaw that the Jedi continue to show throughout the prequels.
Be mindful of your thoughts, Anakin. They betray you.
I'm a Jedi. I know I'm better than this.
So when his feelings for Padme manifest, he's told to bury them and forget all about it. But since that's a very unreasonably unnatural thing to ask of anyone, he comes forward with his feelings to Padme, forming their relationship by the end of the film. Now back to the Clone Wars Season 6, when Anakin is going through his whole period of mistrust and jealousy for Padme, as you know, she's working with her old friend Clovis. During this time, Obi-Wan actually approaches Anakin to help him.
Anakin, I understand to a degree what is going on. You've met Satine. You know I once harbored feelings for her. It's not that we're not allowed to have these feelings, it's natural.
Senator Amidala and I are simply friends.
Now it's important to note that this is not all to the fault of the Jedi. Moments like this would have been a perfect time for Anakin to have come clean to Obi-Wan, but Anakin overlooks the fact that he could actually get the help he needs because the benefit here is greatly overshadowed by the consequence of being removed from the Jedi Order.
And friends you must remain. As a Jedi, it is essential you make the right choice, Anakin, for the Order.
Both the failures of the Jedi and Anakin's fear of coming forward are the two biggest obstacles that are stopping Anakin from having a healthy support system. But Anakin has shown many signs of wanting to come forward. He just never fully does that. In Revenge of the Sith, we find him talking to Master Yoda, where Anakin seems to be coming forward with his feelings.
Premonitions? Premonitions? These visions you have.
They're of pain, suffering, death.
But there are two missteps during this conversation. One, Anakin doesn't fully come forward. And that's because of two, Yoda gives generic, not very helpful Jedi advice, which further pushes Anakin to suppress his feelings.
Careful you must be when sensing the future, Anakin. The fear of loss is a path to the dark side.
What must I do, Master Yoda?
Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose.
Great, thanks Yoda. Super helpful. Just bury those feelings. Don't worry about it.
Twisted, that is.
I want to quickly note that some people see this as a flaw in George Lucas's writing, but I have always seen it as intentional. It's not the fault of the writer, but it's the fault of the Jedi Order in-universe. Just like how people complain about how Yoda uses a lightsaber, to me that's a representation of how far the Jedi have fallen from the standard that they are held to. Anyways, the simple solution to all of this is that the Jedi should promote total honesty among the Order, even if it means a Jedi has broken the code. They should not be threatened with being kicked out of the Order, but the Jedi should understand that mistakes are only natural, and they need to be there to help their fellow Jedi through their mistakes, not punish them for making them. This would have created a safe and caring environment for Anakin to grow into the Jedi that the Council already expected him to be. But even if the Jedi were to still expect Anakin to suppress his emotions, Obi-Wan could have stepped in and served as Anakin's support system. They could have had their secret talks where both of them could be completely honest, and that alone could have been more than enough for Anakin to process his feelings in a healthy manner. But instead,
be mindful of your thoughts, Anakin. They betray you.
Now the second thing that influenced their relationship to be formed in an unhealthy way is Anakin's premonitions. There are 3 instances throughout the prequel era that show Anakin being influenced to believe something bad is going to happen, and that bad thing ends up happening, reinforcing his unhealthy behavior. The first of these instances occurs in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Anakin's premonition occurs in his dreams, seeing his mother's death. The Jedi, of course, advise against giving these dreams any thought, and instead of helping Anakin as we talked about before, they decide to send him on a mission to protect Padme, putting him in the most emotionally stressful position he could be in. So then when the dreams of his mother persist, he goes to save her, only to find that his premonition was correct, and his mother dies in his arms. Here, a small seed is planted. The premonition that the Jedi said will pass in time were confirmed to have been true in Anakin's eyes. The second instance occurs in, you guessed it, the Clone Wars Season 6, Episodes 5 through 7. We're back to Clovis again! Yay! As we know, Padme is assigned to work closely with Clovis, and because of Anakin's previous experiences with the women in his life being ripped away from him, he becomes jealous of Clovis, claiming to Obi-Wan that Clovis can't be trusted.
I believe he can't be trusted.
Clovis up to this point has shown nothing but the want to make amends with the Republic, and show that he can be trusted to do the right thing. He wants to redeem himself for what he did in Season 2. Anakin only thinks he can't be trusted because of his jealousy and controlling nature over Padme. But lucky for Anakin, there's more at work here. Darth Sidious has Count Dooku go and manipulate Clovis, causing Clovis to make biased moves in the favor of the Separatists, slapping the Republic's trust in the face. Clovis still wanted to do good, but he's merely just a pawn of Sidious. And this outcome causes the Jedi to turn to Anakin and say,
Correct. You might have been about Clovis.
Even though Anakin turned out to be right, he did give in to fear and jealousy, accusing someone of being dishonest. The Jedi telling him that he was right reassures Anakin that it's okay not to trust your wife, but giving in to fear and jealousy leads him to be praised. So in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin has dreams again, but this time about Padme dying instead of his mother. Sure, he does open up to Padme about his dreams, but thanks to the reassurance that he's been given before, he decides not to tell Padme about any of his intentions and take the matter into his own hands. He joins the dark side, slaughters children, all for the sake of saving his wife. But the funny thing is, one often meets their destiny on the road he takes to avoid it. Because he wanted to save Padme, he shut her out, and by shutting her out, she loses faith in him, leading him exactly down the path he was trying to avoid. At this point, we have established that Padme and Anakin's relationship is indeed abusive, and how the environment of the Jedi Order, along with Anakin's premonitions being reinforced, caused things to further worsen. But we have yet to touch on a secret third member of their relationship, lurking around in the background. Sheev Palpatine. Yay, Sheev. All of this was manipulated by Palpatine.
You survived. You've won the prize.
A prize?
No.
But it's my belief that if it weren't for Palpatine's presence, Anakin and Padme might have even had a healthy relationship. Let's dig into this a little further. The key to Anakin and Padme having a healthy relationship would be if Anakin just left the Jedi Order. Then Anakin can finally have what he's always wanted, a life with Padme. They could have Luke and Leia back on Naboo, as Padme talks about in Revenge of the Sith. They could finally be happy. And we do know that Anakin at least thought of leading the Order, from both the Anakin and Obi-Wan comics, as well as the Clone Wars.
I understand. More than you realize, I understand wanting to walk away from the Order.
But he never does. This is the ultimate decision that would make him the happiest version of himself, but a decision he never makes. And because he stays in an unhealthy environment the Jedi have created, it is the perfect time for Palpatine to step in and pull the strings. It's what he does best, boys. Not only does Palpatine orchestrate the entire war from the beginning, as we know, but he's also responsible for directly setting up the situations that allow Anakin to be abusive. Back to the Clone Wars, Season 6, those Clovis episodes we keep talking about, Palpatine is the one who appoints Padme to work closely with Clovis, which, as we know, leads Anakin down a dark path. Granted, this is no excuse for Anakin to be abusive in these situations, so this in no way takes the blame away from Anakin. All it does is add even more depth to Darth Sidious's evil plan. Palpatine is obviously very familiar with the unhealthy environment that the Jedi has for their members, and he knows that if he puts Anakin in these certain positions, he's bound to crack. And also see how Palpatine in every encounter during this arc walks away with a little evil smirk on? Huh, what a stud.
What did you say?
In the end, due to the manipulation of Darth Sidious, new opportunities arise that test Anakin's maturity and strength in his relationship, allowing him to transition from unhealthy to abusive. Thanks, Palpatine. It's important to know that abusive and unhealthy relationships don't always happen in a romantic relationship, but can be common in any kind of relationship. Another good example of an abusive relationship is Prince Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender, which demonstrates how his father has emotionally manipulated him. And if you think you might be suffering from an unhealthy or abusive relationship, or you know someone who might be, I recommend visiting thehotline.org, which is the main resource I used when looking to write this video. So thank you for joining me on this dark journey. If you want to see more videos like this, please let me know down in the comments as for exactly what you'd like to see. And also, consider joining my channel's small Discord server so we could even talk about future video ideas together. And I'll see you all next time on Cunan's Cove.